What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler and today I'm taking a look at the sneaker releases in the first half of November 2019. And I let you know which one of these shoes I think are going to sit and which one of these shoes I think are going to sell out. But before we jump into the video, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Rejuvenator. Is that in focus? Okay, hopefully. And the sponsor couldn't come at a better time because I recently destroyed my 500s. I didn't destroy them, they're just pretty dirty. Look at that. I don't know what I was doing in these. I think I just went to the store in these. I don't know how they got like the mud splatter on the side. I don't know what the deal is with that, but for whatever reason, they're disgusting now, so I gotta clean these guys up. And also for all those people that commented that I wasn't gonna wear these 500s, all three of you guys, I did, obviously. So what I'm gonna do is scrub these guys with the Rejuvenator Advanced Sneaker Cleaning Solution. And in my opinion, the best place to grab the Rejuvenator Advanced Sneaker Cleaning Solution is with the Rejuvenator Ultimate Sneaker Laundry System, which includes pretty much anything and everything you could ever need. So before I actually get into the cleaning of the shoe, I'm gonna throw in this Rejuvenator shoe tree so that the sneaker keeps its shape while I'm scrubbing it down. That's probably not the best way to say it. There we go, the shoe tree's in. Next, what I'm gonna do is drop in a couple drips of the Rejuvenator Advanced Sneaker Cleaning Solution into the Rejuvenator expandable bowl. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a rubber bowl that pops out. It's kind of cool. And with the Ultimate Sneaker Laundry System, you do get a couple brushes, and the two that I'm gonna be using today are the soft brush and the medium brush. So I'm gonna dip the soft brush and swish it around a couple times in the sneaker cleaning solution, and then I'm gonna start using it on the upper and just kind of scrub in a circular motion. I got in my drink. Whatever. It's all natural, so it's fine. Now that I've used the soft bristle brush, I'm gonna wipe the shoe down a little bit just to see what we're working with. And I can see that there are still some brown stains right there on the midsole or this rubber part. So what I'm gonna do is go back at it with the medium bristle brush and try and get rid of those. And with the medium bristle brush, you really don't want to get this on the suedes, so try and avoid rubbing the suede with this brush. There are probably better ways to do this, like at a table, but I didn't think this through. Sweet, so right now it's looking pretty good. We'll come back to it at the end of the video once everything's dried off so I can show you guys how they look. But if you would like to check out the Ultimate Sneaker Laundry System for yourself, which is the full service solution, the best way to go if you're trying to completely clean your sneakers, make sure to head on over to Rejuvenator's website, which is linked in the description below, and use my discount code SETH10 for 10% off your entire purchase. That's 10% off everything. The suede eraser, the Ultimate Sneaker Laundry System, the Advanced Sneaker Cleaning Solution, anything you could want on their site, you can use SETH10 to get 10% off your order. But with that out of the way, let's jump right into the video. Finally, after the dry spell that was October, November is starting to look really, really good, and we have a lot of releases that I'm personally very excited for. Of course, I gotta drop the disclaimer that everything in today's video is my own personal opinion. Please don't buy a shoe because I rate it a sit or a sell or whatever the case may be. Only buy a shoe because you like it, not because some random dude on the internet told you to. I mean, that should probably be common knowledge by this point, but hey, better be safe than sorry. So now let's jump right into November. So starting things off on November 1st, we've got the very first release of the Under Armour Curry 7. The Curry 7 is another low-top performance basketball sneaker in Steph Curry's signature line, and to be honest, it's probably one of my least favorite just because of how it looks. I kind of think it looks like a slipper, but that's just me. I'm sure it performs fine. It's got hover cushioning, which is pretty soft. I don't know how it is on this shoe, but on most other shoes with hover, I usually like the cushion a lot. I also kind of feel like this gray, black, and orange colorway is kind of eh. It could have been better. It could have been more exciting, especially for his first Curry 7, but it is what it is. It's kind of like the Warriors' basketball performance this last couple games. Maybe not, because it's not flat out terrible, but even so, I still think the shoe is gonna sit. After that, we've got the Kyrie Lowe 2 in the Sunset colorway. The Kyrie Lowe 2 is a more budget model of the Kyrie 5, or whichever Kyrie is out at the moment, and it's definitely not a bad performance sneaker, especially if you like court feel, because there's not much cushioning in this shoe. However, I still think the sneaker does look good, and this Sunset colorway that fades from yellow to orange is actually a pretty good look on the sneaker. That said, there's definitely no hype behind this sneaker, and I think anyone who wants a Kyrie Lowe 2 is probably someone who just needs a new pair of basketball sneakers, so for that reason, I don't think this colorway is gonna sell. Then following that up, we've got the KD12 Blue Glaze. I'm not really a fan of this colorway. I don't have a problem with the color itself, but an all monochromatic light blue KD12 just doesn't look right. I'm not sure what about it I don't like, I just don't like it. Like the other two pairs of sneakers we just talked about on the list, I'm sure the KD12 is a good basketball performance sneaker. I have yet to play in a pair, but I do actually have a pair in a box behind me waiting for a video, so make sure to stay tuned for that. But I've got to say that this KD12 colorway is nothing special, and for that reason, I think the shoe is gonna sit. Continuing on, we've got 4 colorways of the brand new Nike Air Force 1 Lowe Goretex. The colorways include khaki, black, olive, and a really bright yellow. I'm actually pretty excited about the AF1 Lowe Goretex because I like when they try new things with the AF1 Lows. These pairs coming out now is of course fitting because we've got winter coming soon and they should be pretty water repellent or hopefully water resistant. I also think the colorways that they're releasing are pretty exciting, except for that yellow one. I don't mind it, but it's just not something that I personally would wear. However, I do think a lot of people will be very excited about these shoes, and for that reason, I'm giving 3 out of the 4, or maybe 2 out of the 4 colorways a sell. And then following up those releases, we possibly have the release of the high top versions of those shoes in 3 different colorways. And those colorways include Phantom, Black, and Olive. I personally don't like the high top Gore-Texes as much as the low top Gore-Texes because I think they're a little bit harder to wear and I just think the overall aesthetic isn't as nice, but I don't think they're a bad shoe and I probably will try and grab a pair to review when they do eventually come out because again, I'm not totally sure if this is the actual release date for the high tops. And I think out of these colorways, the most likely colorway to sell is probably the Phantom colorway because I've seen the most hype around this shoe. The black and the olive colorway I'm not totally sure about. The olive I think has a better chance than the black colorway of selling out, but I wouldn't be surprised if both of these colorways just didn't sell. So for that reason, I'm giving them a sit. After that, we've got a huge collaboration between Star Wars and Adidas. The pairs that are dropping include the Adidas Star Wars Pro Next 2019, the Star Wars Crazy One Sith Order, the Star Wars Dawn Issue Lightsaber, the Star Wars Harden Volume 4 Lightsaber, and the Star Wars Dame 5 Lightsaber. And I was checking Adidas' website earlier today, and apparently there are some lifestyle models that are also dropping that are pretty similar to these basketball models, but I just didn't feel like I needed to include them. Like the Adidas Marvel collab, all of these sneakers don't have any specific Star Wars iconography. They're all just kind of Star Wars colored, which I'm kind of 50-50 on because I do usually prefer collabs that don't seem forced. I also feel like these are kind of dull. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Star Wars and I've seen every Star Wars that is released since episode 1 at midnight or before. And I know that's super nerdy to say, but I've been watching Star Wars in theaters since 1999, so I've always loved it. I wish this collab had been great like I think it could have been, but unfortunately I think it's just kind of dull, and for that reason I think all 5 or 6 of these sneakers are probably going to sit. And then rounding off November 1st, we've got the Air Jordan 1 FlyEase. The FlyEase 1s are one of the first shoes to drop with FlyEase technology. FlyEase is what Nike is dubbing their new system that's basically a zipper and a removable heel of the sneaker to allow people with disabilities to more easily get their shoes on. It's actually a super cool system, and I love the fact that Nike is incorporating it into a shoe that's already really popular. So the people who couldn't have worn a pair of Air Jordan 1s before can now own a pair of one of the greatest sneakers of all time. I also think that this white, red, and black colorway that they're using is fire. I think it's a great looking sneaker. Now when it comes to whether this sneaker is gonna sit or gonna sell, I think it's kind of a toss-up. One, because the technology makes the shoe look a little bit bulkier than usual, but the fact that it's an Air Jordan 1 and the colorway is so classic, I think this shoe is a pretty good shot. Not only that, but because this shoe is sort of a new technology that I think people are interested in, I think this first colorway could actually sell. Moving on to November 2nd, we've got the BBC and Reebok Answer 5 collaboration. To my knowledge, this shoe releases first at ComplexCon. I'm not sure if it's just an exclusive, it wouldn't surprise me either way to be honest, but I wouldn't be surprised if this shoe also releases in stores as well. This collab features an incredibly bright pink and green upper, which I actually kind of dig, even though it's not a color combination that I thought that I would like. I don't know if you caught my video on the Allen Iverson Question 5s that I dropped yesterday, which if you haven't, make sure to click the link at the top of the screen, but I've been really digging what Reebok has been doing recently, and this is another shoe that I would definitely consider picking up. Granted, it's not an everyday wear type of sneaker, but it's something that I would wear on special occasions. Because of how crazy this sneaker looks, and also because of the fact that it's probably going to be limited, I think this shoe is probably going to sell. After that, we've got 2 more collaboration BBC Reeboks, the BB 4600 High and the BB 4600 Low. Again, I'm pretty sure that both of these sneakers are probably going to be releasing at ComplexCon. The high top comes in black with a blue and red diamond motif, and the low top comes in all yellow. I'm personally not as interested in these shoes as I am with the Answer 5. I don't think they're bad sneakers, but they're just not that exciting. And while both of these sneakers probably will be limited, I just don't think there's enough hype behind them to make these shoes sell out. After that, we've got the release of the Air Jordan 1 High Fearless. I actually just reviewed this Air Jordan 1 a couple days ago, so if you haven't checked out that review yet, make sure to do so by clicking the link at the top of the screen. Although I'm not a huge fan of the patent leather ones, I think this Air Jordan 1 is pretty solid. The front half of the sneaker comes in a Chicago theme, and the back half comes in a UNC theme, and together, while they look kind of crazy, they do look pretty good. To be honest, I don't remember the exact story behind this sneaker, but I know that it is more complicated than I think it needed to be. What I do know about this shoe is that this shoe will be very limited and actually pretty hard to get. If you look at the Foot Locker release calendar, there's like 2 stores in the United States that are getting this shoe. So if you expected it to be an easy cop, you thought wrong. While this might not be the most popular Air Jordan 1 of the year, it's definitely got a lot of hype behind it, and it definitely will sell out. After that, we've got a Yeezy release with the Yeezy 500 Soft Vision. As you guys saw at the beginning of the video, I've been wearing my 500s a lot, and it's a shoe that I really didn't like for like the first year that it was out, and my mind's been changed. I don't know how it happened. I still think it's an ugly sneaker, but I love wearing it. I don't get it. I actually think that the Soft Vision 500 is my favorite Yeezy 500 colorway. I love the pink upper. It's subtle, it's clean, it's different. I think it's awesome. And of course, it's a Yeezy, which means it's going to be relatively limited and a lot of people are going to try and grab it. I think this is one of the best 500 colorways to release, so for that reason, I think the shoe is going to sell. And then rounding off November 2nd, we've got the Nike Air Fear of God 1 in the Oatmeal colorway. Dang, I think this is actually one of my favorite Fear of God colorways as well. Man, November 2nd is crazy. This Fear of God 1 comes in a primarily dark tan colored upper or oatmeal colored upper, and it's actually something that I think is a lot more wearable than some of the previous Fear of God 1s. In addition to that, the midsole also seems like it's semi-translucent, so you can actually see through it a little bit. It's nothing too crazy different than anything that we've seen before, but it's a super clean look, and I really dig it. And at the end of the day, it's a Fear of God 1. It's definitely gonna sell. Then on November 5th, we've got the rumored release date for Kendrick Lamar's latest collaboration with Nike on the Element 55. This shoe apparently features a split upper and it comes in sort of a tan, gray, and orange colorway. This shoe seems to feature a split colored upper that comes in both sail and also different shades of gray and black. From the images that I can see, it looks like the inside of the sneaker has almost a moon surface on it. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but that's just what I think that it is. But that's pretty much all I can say because there isn't really much else to say about this sneaker because we can't really see it. It is, however, an Element 55, and I think the Element 55 is an incredibly comfortable sneaker and also a pretty good looking sneaker. And not only that, it's a collaboration with Kendrick Lamar, which means this shoe is definitely going to sell. Then continuing on to November 7th, we've got the Air Force 1 Lowe Pendleton. Pendleton is a textile company that makes blankets, usually with Native American patterning on them, and I actually got one for my fiance a little while back and she loves it. To be fair, she picked it out, so it's not like it was really a surprise, but you know, it worked. This is an Air Force 1 that features some of that Pendleton patterning along the upper, and also features some of those classic wheat colored panels as well. It's a decent looking sneaker, and I actually think some of this Pendleton paneling looks pretty solid on this shoe. However, even though this is technically a collaboration sneaker, I don't think there's enough hype behind this shoe to really make it sell out, so for that reason, I'm giving it a sit. Then releasing on the same day, we've got the Air Jordan 8 Pendleton. This sneaker also features some of that Pendleton paneling, but because it's on an Air Jordan 8, it looks a little bit crazier and a little bit more interesting. The shoe comes in sort of a tonal gray, black, blue, and orange upper, and overall, I think it looks great. Not only that, but I think this shoe probably will be more limited than the Air Force 1, or if nothing else, just have a little bit more interest behind it. While this Jordan 8 might not be for everybody, I think it's a well-executed collaboration, I think there is some hype behind it, and I think the sneaker probably will sell out. And then finally, rounding off the 7th, we've got the Air Jordan 34 Eclipse. This is actually another shoe that I've already done a review on, so if you'd like to check that video out, I've got the link at the top of the screen. The Air Jordan 34 actually seems like one of the best performance basketball sneakers of the year, and not only that, it also looks pretty good as well. My favorite part of the shoe is that there's this hole through the midsole, which I know is the least important part of the sneaker, but I still love the way it looks, and it looks different, and that's the most exciting thing to me. I also dig this colorway because it's clean, simple, and easy to wear, and if you have yet to pick up a pair of Air Jordan 34s, this is a great colorway to grab. This pair will probably be a GR, which means that there are going to be tons of pairs available, and for that reason, I think the shoe is going to sit. Then moving on to November 8th, we've got 5 different sneakers from the Nike and Olivia Kim collaboration. Those sneakers include the Nike ACG Moab Olivia Kim, the Nike Air Max 98 Olivia Kim, the Nike Air Force 1 Lowe Olivia Kim, the Nike Air Footscape Olivia Kim, and the entire collection is rounded off with the Air Jordan 4 Olivia Kim pony hair. Apparently the idea behind this group of sneakers is to create a look that's inspired by the 90s nightclub era. So you've got tons of crazy colors, tons of different materials, and honestly, now that I know that, I'm kind of into the collection. Now, unfortunately for guys and awesome for ladies, it's a women's only collection, so it's only going to go up to a size 9.5, I believe. My personal favorite sneakers out of the collection are the Air Max 98s and the Air Jordan 4s, even though I'm not a huge fan of pony hair on sneakers just because it's kind of a weird texture. I'm not a fan of it, but I definitely think all the sneakers in the collection do a great job of sort of emulating that 90s nightclub culture, which I've never experienced because at the end of the 90s I was 8, but I think Olivia Kim and Nike did a great job of capturing that idea. However, when it comes to these sneakers sitting or selling, I do kind of think that everything except for the Air Jordan 4s are probably going to sit. And I even think the Air Jordan 4s might sit, but if anything in the collection did sell, I think it would be them. So for that reason, I'm giving the first 4 sneakers in the collection a sit. And then, like I mentioned, because it's an Air Jordan 4 and it's all black and looks great, I think the Jordan 4 definitely has a chance to sell. Then moving on to November 9th, we've got the Air Max Plus 3 in blue and black. I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm not familiar with this sneaker at all whatsoever. I think this is probably one of the first times I've ever seen it. It's not a bad looking sneaker, it's just not for me. The shoe features a blue gradient textile upper and some pretty heavy plastic paneling around the heel, and it definitely has a sort of 90s retro look. I don't know if it came out in the 90s, but it could have, looking like that. Not a bad looking shoe, just not my thing, and because I don't know much about this sneaker and haven't heard too much about it, I don't know if there's any hype behind it, so for that reason, I'm gonna guess it's a sit. Then continuing on, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Mid, Blue the Great. This sneaker features a very colorful suede upper and is actually a pretty solid looking Air Jordan 1 Mid, even though that's one of the less popular Air Jordan 1s. The shoe features a lot of somewhat muted solid colored paneling around the upper, which is primarily primary colored colors. That was a weird sentence to say. This Jordan 1 is part of the Fearless Ones collection, and as the name would suggest, it was created by Blue the Great. It's a dope looking sneaker in my opinion, and even though it's a mid, I think it still will get a lot of people's attention. I would assume that it's probably limited as well, and for that reason, I think it's probably gonna sell. And then rounding off the 9th, we've got the Air Jordan 13 Island Green. This Tiffany flavored Air Jordan 13 features what seems to be an incredibly luxurious leather upper. Not only that, but the way that they colored the 23 jewel in the heel makes it look like a diamond, especially from a distance. The overall look of the sneaker seems to be leaning towards a more luxurious feel, and I think this is actually a shoe that's going to catch a lot of people's attention. Tiffany blue has always been big on sneakers, especially with the diamond collection, and I think this shoe is going to be no different. I think a lot of people are really excited about this sneaker. The more that I look at this sneaker, the more I'm really into it. I think it's a really clean look, especially with that Tiffany blue color. I love it. Most likely this sneaker will be limited and probably will be hard to get. So I definitely suggest if you're trying to grab a pair of these, make sure to stay tuned to when the shoe is dropping, where it's dropping, and to enter as many raffles as you possibly can. Because as of right now, I think the shoe is probably going to sell. Then releasing on November 11th, we've got the Air Jordan 5 Island Green. This shoe features similar Tiffany hits, however the upper, instead of being black, actually comes in white, with a pretty interesting sort of white on white pattern. The base color of the upper seems like sort of an off-white, and then it's got these sort of splotches, or I guess palm tree details or something like that come in a slightly whiter shade of white. I'm not exactly sure how they did it. Maybe they did a matte on gloss or gloss on matte. I'm honestly not really sure until I see the shoe in hand, but I don't think it's a bad look. And I really like the way that this black, white, and green all goes together. Although this shoe has the same name as the Air Jordan 13, it doesn't feel as luxurious. It feels more like a beach vacation than a jewelry store. I do have to say though that I think unless the shoe is limited, it might sit, but I'm expecting the shoe to probably be limited, which means there probably will be some hype behind it. So whether the shoe looked like a piece of crap or it looked amazing, doesn't really matter. As long as the sneaker's hyped, it'll probably sell. And I think that's probably going to be the case with this shoe. Although it doesn't look bad, it's not as nice as the Air Jordan 13s, at least in my opinion, so if there is hype behind the sneaker, it will sell out. Then moving on to November 14th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Lowe React Ghetto Gastro. This shoe is also part of the Fearless Ones collection and is inspired by the kitchen. Unfortunately, I think the Air Jordan 1 Lowe React is not a great silhouette overall, so I'm not in love with this shoe, but I think what they did with this sneaker, giving it a black upper with some red and green accents, does look pretty good. One thing that always got me about the Air Jordan 1 React is that the React cushioning is actually inside a pretty thick rubber outsole, so it doesn't have that much room to expand, and because of that, it's not as soft as it could be if they just made it a React sole, which is what it looks like. I don't know, it's a pretty interesting shoe and I bet you it's gonna be limited, and because of that, I bet you it's gonna sell. And then rounding off November 14th, we've got the rumored release of 3 different off-white Nike Zoom Vapor Street colorways. The colorways include black, yellow, and blue. And of course, for some reason, these colorways also include the rubber spikes that were on the bottom of the Terra Kiger 5s, which I'm not a fan of. The overall silhouette, however, I think looks great because I love the Nike Zoom Vapor Street, and I think the off-white touches, other than the spikes, were a good addition. For me personally, the only colorway out of the 3 that I would actually rock is the blue colorway, because I feel like the yellow colorway is kinda meh, and the black colorway is also kinda meh. The blue colorway, however, is dope, at least in my opinion. That said, they're all off-white sneakers, so they're all gonna sell out anyway, no matter what I think. Continuing on to November 15th, we've got the Nike LeBron 17 in the University Red colorway. This is pretty much just an all-red Nike LeBron 17. I thought we were done with the all-red phase, like 3 years after the Nike Air Yeezy 2s came out, but Apparently not. If you're a LeBron fan, this might be a must cop. If you're a Red fan, this is definitely a must cop, but I just don't think a lot of people are going to be that excited about it. In fact, I think this is just too much red for most people. So for that reason, I'm giving this shoe a sit. And then rounding off the 15th, we've got the Air Jordan 1 Mid Melody Ishani. This sneaker has a very what the sort of feel. One side of the pair has a very different look than the other side. The left side of the shoe is covered in greens and blues, and the right side is covered in reds and pinks. And the crazy detailing doesn't stop there. You've also got some writing on both midsoles and a watch on the lacing of each shoe, which is kind of crazy. I'm actually really interested if those watches work. I'd love to be able to just look at my shoes and tell what time it is. I guess that's kind of like pointless, but it's definitely a subtle flex. With this Fearless collection, it really feels like Jordan Brand is pushing the Air Jordan 1 Mids, which I think is a good thing because it's a great sneaker, it's an underrated sneaker, and to be honest, the silhouette needs some hype to really push it into the spotlight. Also, out of every shoe in the Fearless collection other than the split Air Jordan 1s, this one was by far the most popular, and this one I think has the most hype behind it. It's a weird look, it's a unique look, and I think a lot of people love it. I'm definitely interested in grabbing the pair for myself and seeing what it's all about. And honestly, I would be very surprised if this shoe did not sell out. And then rounding off the first half of the month on November 16th, we've got a very cool new sneaker dropping, the Adidas EZ 380 Alien. This sneaker was originally thought to be the 350 V3. However, when it was officially announced, it was announced as the 380. Even though the shoe isn't technically a 350, it shares a lot of the same details. The silhouette of the shoe is very similar. You've got a full-length boost midsole, you've got a prime knit upper with a clear stripe on the side of it. It's a pretty similar looking sneaker. Personally, I don't think it looks as good as the 350 V2, but that doesn't mean I think it looks bad. A lot of people seem to hate this shoe right now, but I know as soon as it drops, everyone's gonna be about it. I'm really excited to hopefully grab a pair so I can drop a review for you guys, and if you know anybody who has a pair a couple days early, a legit pair, hit me up. And of course, because it's a brand new Yeezy silhouette, it's definitely gonna sell. But that pretty much wraps up the video for today. Now, I would love to know your thoughts on these releases and which one of these shoes you're looking forward to most, so make sure to leave those comments in the comment section down below. Of course, before we end off the video, here's a final look at the sneaker and how nicely it came out. If you would like to check out any of Reshoevn8r's products for yourself, make sure to check out that Reshoevn8r link in the top of the description and use my discount code Seth10 for 10% off your entire order. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.